the sidewalk, and the woman tried to run my kids down and her friends. So yes, I did approach the woman and I did take care of it myself. I shouldn't have did that. It's not my character, but what am I to do? What am I to do? Let some woman run my kid down? Not at all. So yes, I defended my child, and because I did that, the woman called DHS in retaliation. The social worker that came out to my house saw that my kids had food. They saw that I had beds for all my kids. I had doors on my bedrooms. What else did they say? They also checked all the cabinets. My kids are all older. My kids are not babies. They're old enough to speak for themselves. I have one that is now 18, one that's going to be 17 in less than a month, and one that is 14 that's going to be 15. My kids are all old enough to speak for themselves. I let this woman approach my children. She spoke to my kids. My kids told her there was no abuse, no neglect. This woman then falsified a report against me after telling me that what I need to do is I need to beat my kids but don't leave marks. So yes, I reported the social worker. I definitely reported the social worker, and in retaliation she came out and she removed my kids with a false report. She said we didn't have food in the house. We hid snacks. Yeah, what parent don't hide snacks from their kids? So yes, I do hide snacks. But
that's your right, that's your house.
Exactly. Yes. I basically lost my kids because I'm not afraid to tell my kids no, and I'm not afraid to take my kids' things away from them. And I will punish my kids when they do wrong. I do not beat my kids. I don't condone in physical discipline, but the social worker told me I was wrong for that. So I wound it up in family court thinking, oh, I'll leave it in the hands of a family court judge. No judge is going to sign off on this. There's no way in hell. There was no physical evidence of abuse, no physical evidence of neglect. My kids were telling them that there was no abuse and no neglect. When we got into Philadelphia Family Court, room 5A, Judge Lyris Younge, Judge Lyris Younge, the child advocates and the DHS worker asked my kids if they wanted to testify. My kids said yes, they did. We walked into the courtroom, but because my kids were not telling the story that the social worker put on paperwork, they had a secret meeting in the back with Judge Lyris Younge, and the judge came out and threw all my kids out of the courtroom and denied them their right to speak. I then was threatened by the judge when I tried to defend myself because the court-appointed attorney was just sitting there letting them do whatever they wanted to me. I was completely railroaded. So when I tried to speak, Judge Lyris Younge shut me down immediately, told me if I open my mouth one more time in her courtroom, it will not end well for me. I have the court transcripts that even back this up.
Horrible.
It's already the legal intelligencer, PJ D'Annunzio, actually took my paperwork and transcripts and even wrote a story about it. As everybody may know, Judge Lyris Younge is no longer on the bench. Two days before her trial, she waived her right to a hearing and pled guilty to all charges of misconduct and ethics violation. But the problem is, she may be gone, but my kids are still not home. I lost everything fighting for my kids. I lost my entire life savings and I lost my home. I've now been homeless since October 24th, 2019, and it's like everywhere I turn, I can't get nobody to help me out and give me a chance. I destroyed my credit fighting for my kids. So now I can't even get a house. The reason I'm out here today is I'm not saying that there are not kids out there that need protection. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we need DHS to be held accountable. We need transparency over these workers to protect innocent families and innocent children who don't belong in a system that is so severely broken and corrupt that we need this transparency. We need accountability. They say it's for profit. And I have been to Washington, D.C. I've gone to Washington, D.C. on a few occasions. I've been to Harrisburg on a few occasions. And we get the same thing everywhere we go. We hear, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do. DHS is one of the most powerful entities and nobody has any idea. If you think the police department is like corrupt and doing wrong, you have no idea what these social workers are doing.
Systemic system. Yes.
Systemic system.
I now have one, like I said, my one daughter's 18, and all my kids were actually ordered where they can actually come home. But until I have a house, my kids can't come home. My daughter that just turned 18 wanted to sign herself out of the system, and they even tried to tell her that she couldn't do that. That she had to stay in the system. It was a process. So now I have 3 of them still in the system that I'm fighting still to get back. And I'm not going to stop until my kids are home and until laws are changed.
That's right.
Because I don't want no family to ever have to experience what I've experienced and what many other families across this nation have experienced as well. The corruption is too deep, and it all begins right here at the Department of Human Services.
And you're a city worker. Do you work for the city? You